everyone. Welcome to Marilyn's Tarot Take, where I give my take on all things tarot and mystical. And today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to do a VR to Simon at the Hermit's Cave, the Tarot Journey Through Decks. Now, this is unstructured, so I will probably struggle getting through this because I do much better if there's something structured and an outline to follow. So we'll just see what happens. But the premise is, what deck did you start with? The beginning. What started your interest in tarot? What deck did you first choose? Another segment is the deepening. What helped me grow and learn and deepen my practice? The now. What currently resonates with me the most right now, which deck, and then there's the milestone aspect, and you can insert that anywhere you would like. So I'm going to get started on this, see if I can get through this without coming across like I'm completely an idiot. So here we go. My very first deck came from an interest in watching political tarot. And this was at the end of 2022. And it just got me interested in, these cards are interesting. There seemed to be something familiar about them. Couldn't quite put my finger on it, but it just felt familiar. So in 2023, I bought the Light Seers Tarot. And it is a beautiful deck. I'm not saying that it's not a beautiful deck, but I just never really resonated with this. And it was kind of interesting because on Simon's Live today, we were talking about decks that some people really just love and you don't really resonate with. Well, Cully Bear said the same thing, that this deck never did it for her. And as a first deck, I don't know if it's because it was too modern. It wasn't familiar like the RWS turned out to be. It's beautiful. I tend to not gravitate these days toward decks that are too people-y. But it just sat on the shelf. It just simply sat on the shelf for the longest time. Again, it's not that it's not beautiful. That's a beautiful card, no doubt about it. But it just, at that point in time, it's just not something I resonated with. So this sat there and sat there and sat there. On my shelf. So I thought, okay, all right. And I was continuing watching some political tarot and watching other tarot people, mostly political, at that given time. And then I decided to try the Rider-Waite Smith, just a standard deck, because when I saw this, it was like, well, that seems right. That feels right. That's like what the deck should be. And I also got this book to go along with it because I have to have the book along with. It's just who I am. So I got the book and I got the deck. It's just your standard Amazon tuck box. You can see it's just kind of beat up because I used it, and the little white book. And it's when I looked at this deck, it was like, okay, yeah, this feels familiar. Again, I couldn't understand why this would have felt familiar to me at all, because I didn't know anything about tarot decks. But I was clairvoyant as a kid. A couple times I predicted a person was going to die, and they did. And I would know where people were at when I shouldn't have known, but I knew where they were at geographically. Just weird things as a kid. Couldn't find something, I'd concentrate on it, and then I could find it. And my grandmother did fraternize with the gypsies in her day. So I think there's something in me that this was calling to. And interestingly enough, again on the live today with Simon, his one of his questions was, do tarot decks pick you or do you pick tarot decks? And when I got this deck in 2023, I would be down watching television and I would like feel this deck appear. I would feel it like calling me. It was the weirdest thing. I didn't understand it at the time. I thought, okay, yeah, all right. It's up on my shelf. It's calling me. What does that mean? So I would come up and play with it and study the book and all. And I enjoyed it a lot. But I wasn't sure what it was calling me for, but it was calling me. So then I'm going to insert my milestone right here because it is not a deck. In March of last year, I had the worst flu ever. I would miss 2 weeks of work. And during that time, I stumbled upon The Hermit's Cave with Simon. And I watched and watched and watched for 2 weeks. I basically got through his entire 7.5 years of videos. I didn't watch every single one, but most all of them. And that, I would have to say, is my milestone, because listening to him describe the decks, listening to him and his love for tarot and his authenticity, it was just fabulous. And it was like I felt like I was home. It was so familiar. Again, I wasn't sure why, but it was familiar. So I don't know. I did have a past life over in Ireland or England or both. So maybe this is why this resonates. I don't know. Lots of things resonate that I don't quite understand why, but I do believe it's probably tied to a past life experience that I had. So anyway, my milestone was those 2 weeks of constantly watching all of Simon's videos. Fascinating. And my taste has changed, of course. Now I have broadened my horizons quite a bit, but at that time I was really honed in on the Rider-Waite-Smith decks, and I still feel the same way. If there was any one deck, I would be grabbing one of these if I had to only grab one or two. So this really resonated with me for my beginning. This was the deck that actually called to me. And at that time, then, after I watched Simon's 7.5 years, then that's when the budget went to heck in a handbasket, and I did branch out into many other decks. When we get down to the deepening, I would have to say this was tough because I'm new at this. I mean, I'm barely a year into it. In fact, I'm not really fully a year into the actual jumping off the deep end, like the Fool. But I chose two decks that really helped to deepen my practice because it brought a whole different, I'm not going to say different system because it's not a different system, but this deck it brought the pagan aspect, and it was like, oh, I felt again familiar. I don't know if my roots were in Ireland, if I was somehow practicing tarot or witchcraft or who knows. But this just, when I saw this, I thought, oh my goodness. It just spoke to me so much. It still does. Still does. So I worked with this for quite a long time. Love this. It was a great book. I like the fact that there was a different take, slightly different names of the cards. It helped me branch out. Oh, don't you just love that Guardian card? Oh my gosh. So anyway, this deck really deepened my love for tarot, my openness for a new avenue per se. I mean, it's not RWS, but it's right along that vein. And again, there's that history, that pagan aspect that just spoke to me and still speaks to me. Again, it has to be a past life thing because I had no contact with this at all. I mean, I was in your basic structured religion for a long time. Started out basically ended up being a Quaker, which, there's kind of close to your own connection with God as you can get. They don't have a lot of middlemen in that particular religion. But I digress. This deck just absolutely spoke to me. Really jump started me into thinking in a new way, and visiting that familiar. Look at that, the Three of Stones. I mean, just oh, oh my goodness. So this deck prompted me to branch out a bit in my thinking, and then the other one that's completely different than this, but I just fell in love with, was Rachel Pollack's The Shining Tribe Tarot. Now talk about being off the beaten path, but book, this deck, there's so much to learn, and it's tribal, and it's symbolic, and it's just got all the bells and whistles that just absolutely light my fire. And this deck really opened up a whole new world. I mean, look at that. Look at that box. It really did help me branch out quite a bit. It's a different system, yet it's got the RWS base. Just this deck is just gorgeous, and it speaks to me in a different way. But it's the symbolism. It's that just off the norm enough that makes you think, and it makes you delve deeper. Three of Trees, look at that. Ugh, this deck was just all that for me. So I guess I would have to say these two decks would be the deepening. Simon was the milestone. These decks were the deepening for me. And then as far as my practice goes, another thing that helped me, because I'm a little more structure oriented, I do use both sides of my brain, but structure helps me. I did get a ritual planner. This is the ritual planner for 2025. This helps me because it's got a lot of good information in it, but there's a structure to it. You've got your week. You've got the little stickers. Love my stickers. And they go in the spaces. And then you just write the meanings for your day. And it's fun to go back and keep track of, what happened. That's my Morgan draw for the year. What takes place. Again, the structure appealed to me. And I have been doing this since March of last year. So I find this to be a great aspect of my practice every morning. Every morning I get up and do this. Every morning. Lots of good stuff in here. So this was helpful to my structured part of my brain. Things where I need it's like the algebra of of tarot. And so the now, I'd have to say it's a toss up between two RWS decks. I don't have very many. Let me pull this out. I'm not prepared. I am just not prepared. So this is one of my very favorite. It's the original, and the book is by Sasha Graham, so it's the original 1909. What I like about this is the more muted colors. I really like the fact that it kind of looks and feels old. Beautiful deck. Love it. I would go back to an RWS deck over any other deck I've got. As far as which one, like I said, I haven't been at it long enough to forge a 30-year relationship. I don't even have a year relationship yet. But these are just, I love the coloring. Then my second favorite, if I can find it, here it is. That would have to be the Radiant Wise. It's different than this one in that it's borderless. The colors are a little more vibrant. But these are my two go-to decks if I want, I just enjoy reading for myself with these. This is just a beautiful deck. It has a little different feel. But oh my gosh, this deck is beautiful. They're both gorgeous. So I guess then this is the now. This is the now. So I guess I'm a kindred spirit with Simon in that the RWS is my go-to. It's just there's something about the history of it. This is where it all began, sort of. And I do like the structure of the meanings and then branch out from there. It has helped me with my intuition quite a bit. A directed intuition, not just what comes to me in the middle of the night. So look at that Empress. Oh my gosh. So anyway, that's my story. It's not a very lengthy story. I haven't been at this not even a year yet, but I just thank this community so much for making me feel welcome, even though I'm a newbie, and for Simon to have all those 7 years for me to get through my 2 weeks of flu. It was just a great way to get through the flu. And here I am today, enjoying every minute of this, sharing content, and my life has been improved. My life is brighter, all because of tarot in this community. I love it, and I love all you guys, and I hope you enjoyed my blathering on and on about my journey. So thank you so much, and I hope you tune in again, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.